Good evening. Welcome, Shocker families. My name is Alicia Newell, and I serve as the Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs here at Wichita State University. With me to presenting today, and actually throughout the rest of the summer table talk sessions, is my colleague and dear friend Kim Sandlin, who serves as the Director of Student Success. A little bit about me before we kind of jump in tonight. I am a proud alum of Wichita State University, working here at my alma mater for almost 20 years, which is a blessing, and just thoroughly enjoy the work that we get to do. A unique aspect about both Kim and I is that we too are parents of incoming freshmen. And so this is not just a near and dear topic to both of our hearts, but we also understand what our families are going through because we too are sending our first children off to college. And so this is going to be a great experience for all of us to enjoy together. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kim to introduce herself, and then we're going to get started about tonight's topic, new student orientation, what you should know and expect as a parent.
All right. Hi, everyone. As Alicia said, my name is Kim Sandlin. I serve as the Director in Student Success at Wichita State. I am an alum as well. Alicia and I are both were both first generation students. And had an incredible experience at Wichita State. And as she said, we're both lucky to give back to an institution that really kind of helped us figure out what we were about and who we were and what we wanted to do professionally. I don't think either one of us thought we would be doing this work when we were undergraduate students. So as you can tell behind me, maybe I am joining you from my home. So my internet might be a little glitchy from time to time, but I'm sure we will power through. So want to, again, let you all know I've been at the university for 26 years, 27, 26, I think, years. And about half of that I spent in admissions, and the other half I am now working in student success. And so I had the opportunity to help students explore higher education and explore colleges, help them get started. And now I'm helping them complete degrees. And it's very rewarding work. And so it's very interesting as well, as I'm sure you can imagine, not only doing this job, but also having your kid go through this process. So we are both in the thick of it with you all. So it's going to be an interesting year. For us, because we're right there with you. So I think we're going to talk a little bit about what to expect at orientation tonight, and really what you can expect throughout, just a preview of what you can expect throughout the summer as you are kind of on this trajectory here to begin in the fall with us. Some of your students may be starting this summer, which is great. A majority of you are probably have students who are starting in August, which is our fall semester. And so I don't know, Alicia, do you want to talk a little bit about what they experience when they first arrive to orientation? And then we'll have a little nugget and tidbit for those of you who may not be attending orientation. That's okay. We've got you covered. We'll stay tuned for how you can get all the information throughout the summer with us. So I'll throw it back to Alicia to talk about kind of what happens as you walk into orientation. You're going to check in, and then we're going to get you connected with some resources and people right away. So I'll pop it over to you.
All right. So I guess I'll start with just saying we are so excited to have you join the Shocker family. One of the questions I often get most from our parents is, do I have to attend orientation? Is it necessary for me to attend orientation? And one of the things that I will share is that new student orientation is more than just a campus tour. A lot of our families say, well, we've been on the campus visits, we've done the tours. Do I really need to go? And I want you to think that this is the beginning of an exciting journey filled with growth, discovery, and opportunity. And to experience that with your student is something unique and special. Although you may say, my student doesn't need me, we often find that our students are looking for their parents because they just need that reassurance that I'm here, you got this, everything's going to be okay. And so as parents and I would say family members, guests, know that you play a really essential role in your student success. And during orientation, you will gain valuable insights into what your student can expect academically, socially. We talk about emotional struggles and things that are going to be what I call the roller coaster experience that they will endure during their first year. You'll also, Kim had talked a little bit about campus resources, student support services, and how you can stay connected with the university beyond just these parent-family table talks. And so we'll talk in depth about that, but really ultimately it's how can we partner together to ensure that your student is able to thrive independently? And I'm going to say that again, independently, because come orientation, I will rock around with my fanny pack on, and I have a couple things in there, and I'm going to let you guess what they are. But it's all about teaching our students how to be independent and thinkers, and to really cultivate what they want this journey to be for them. And so this year at orientation, when you check in, students are going to check in. Parents will have a separate check-in table. At that check-in table, once you check in, you're going to get a bag. And then you will be asked to go upstairs and you will join myself. And we will have breakfast up there. We're going to have a parent connection table. And this is one thing that's actually new this year. Last year, and I think probably, Kim, the past couple evaluations from parents, they said, we wish there was more time to connect with other parents. I'm from Oklahoma, I'm from Texas or Kansas City, and I really wish I knew other Shocker families that were from the area. And so just heads up, we heard you. And so this year we're adding a parent connection table where you can self-identify where you're from and connect with other parents throughout the day. And then from there, you'll go to a welcome session that will be led by myself and Kim Sandlin. And we're going to talk to you about all of the things you need to know. So we're going to talk about, FERPA. We're going to talk about how do you get access to your students' records. We're going to talk about resources, everything. And so the one thing I will say is that as a working mom, I understand sometimes it's hard to take off work. You're not able to take off for an entire day. If you can't leave work for an entire day, and maybe you can only leave for half a day, that's fine as well. We welcome you whatever time you're able to come. And if you're not able to come, don't stress and worry about it. That's what these sessions are for. We're bringing them to you live. And the whole goal is to make sure that you still have an opportunity to engage with the experts in time and in moment. And when I say that is that we often bring these sessions to you in a need to know time frame, because a lot of times parents will say, well, I have questions on my bill. How do I do this? If we were to go over some of that stuff right now, you would be extremely upset because we have no idea what that fee may be yet, because it's not set until July. And so we have that session specifically selected at a time where we can open up the student accounts. You can see their bill actually posted in their account online. And then you can ask the expert directly what some of your questions are. And so these sessions are all recorded. They're all saved online. And so you're able to go back and review them. If you have questions, you can always reach out to Kim and I, and just know that we are your partners on standby every step of the way.
Yes, thank you. And I know Alicia talked about the parent connection opportunity at orientation. First thing out of the gate, connecting you with other parents who may be from out of state or who maybe just down the road. And so there will always be other parents that you would be connected with and you would be able to connect with. Also, I don't want that to dissuade anyone from attending, meaning that, yeah, we have the option for you to connect. If you don't want to connect, that's cool. You don't have to. It is a kind of a challenge by choice kind of thing, right? Because I go into, presentations all the time and they're like, we are in orientation. We do a lot of connecting. We do a lot of activities. We do a lot of discussion versus lecture. And some people just want to get the information and get out. And that's cool. You can have that experience, or you can go all in and you can go up to every table and you can get every giveaway and you can get every little proud mom and dad and family and supporter kind of swag that you can pick up. It really is an opportunity for you to connect at whatever level you want to connect. And then just a couple of other things too. I have a bad habit of jumping right into the nuts and bolts. And I forget that, yes, we need to talk a little bit about, we need to do a little bit of setup and a little bit of explanation about kind of why we do all of this. And so one of the things I want to talk about is a logistical kind of thing. We get a lot of questions over the course of the summer, specifically about orientation. When your student RSVP'd, placed their reservation for orientation, they might have indicated that they had 2 guests coming and only 1 guest is available that day. That is not a problem. We take those reservations as kind of a heads up so that we know approximately how many people to prepare for. So if your plans change and maybe you decide, hey, these web kind of based things are really more my jam than, going and schlepping around the campus, which tours are not a part of they're optional. So know that you don't have to do a campus tour when you come to our orientation program, but you can get one if you'd like one. But say, you'd rather connect virtually with us and do this, kind of as your experience. Cool. Say your student signed you up and you don't, whatever, cool. Don't show up. We will not be charging your student's account for anyone who does not attend, right? And so none of the fees that come with orientation are charged until a student shows up and a guest shows up. So you don't pay anything in advance. We don't take any money at the door. The fee for orientation is placed on your student's fall tuition and fee bill. Okay, so your freshman will pay $150 is that orientation fee, and then it's $30 per guest. And so again, those fees are not placed and they are not due up front. They are part of the tuition and fee bill that gets posted to your student's account in July. And if you want more information about what those fees cover, we have that all outlined on our website. Okay, so I wanted to get a little bit of those logistics out of the way. So that you know that if your plans change and you all of a sudden can't attend, then it's okay. You don't have to call us and let us know. It's great to know ahead of time, but you don't have to do that if it's a last minute kind of thing. So Alicia, you want to jump in?
Yeah. So one of the things I just want to put out there right away is that when you come in the morning and you're checking in, parents will be extremely surprised that we are separating you immediately from your student. And so please understand that you will not be with your student all day. You will not be with your student all day. And helping you understand that early on, because we really want to help students build a sense of community and belonging with their peers. And so they will join their groups, their mentors that they will have throughout their first semester, and making sure that they are engaged and connected. And often if mom and dad are kind of lingering, the students feel awkward. They're like, oh, do I go sit with them? And so you will see that we will say, hey, parents, go ahead and come upstairs. Students, I promise you, they will be okay. I often share in orientation that I remember the exact moment, when, I felt that same anxiety when they're saying, okay, kids come over here, parents, you're in this other room. And I was just like, oh my goodness, who's going to remind my student everything that they're going to tell her? Because that's me. I'm the one who takes notes. I'm attentive, and I'm the reminder, right? I'm the parent. And that was, kindergarten. And I had that same anxiety and feeling when my daughter went to middle school orientation, the same anxiety when she went to high school orientation. And there's that separation, but knowing that as a parent, we did our job. We got our student to this point where they're going to grow into independence. And so helping them understand, hey, when we get there, you're going to have to go, and I'm going to go over here, and then we're going to meet back together for lunch, and we're going to talk about maybe some of the things that we've learned, what you've done, and really using it as an opportunity to empower them to meet people and to step outside their comfort zone. Because as hard as it is for parents, I always have at least, I'm going to say 5 or 6, and Cam probably will say more, that will sneak off because they just want to go and be with their student. And we have to be willing to cut the cord and say, hey, I trust in the process, and they're going to be okay. And so I wanted, folks to know that right away, because often that is the biggest shock factor that families get is, whoa, what are you doing? You're pulling me away too soon. And it's for a purpose, because we truly want them to begin to cultivate and build those relationships and bond with their peers, so that they can get the most out of this experience.
Yeah, I would say we have the students, we'll send the students when they check in, we'll get them immediately connected to one of our students, who will take them over to meet their group that they will be with for the day. And as long as the weather's okay, we're going to do that outside, just because they get loud and they get laughing and they get to going and all of that. And so we just kind of put them outside, and they can run around, energy or whatever. We do have students who have high anxiety. And so if you're worried about your student because they have heightened anxiety, especially in groups of people, especially around people they don't know, and they have built no trust with because they don't know these people, right? And we're saying, oh, you go that way, see you later, kind of thing. That does produce a little bit of anxiety for some of our students. And so we do train our staff to be able to find those students and watch out for them. We do a lot of training in terms of making sure that every student in your group is present, accounted for, where they are. Do some sneak off? Yes. Do the students who are worried or engaged or interested sneak off? No. So know that we're keeping eyes on students. And we always have some parents are like, okay, I don't want to be in the group. I want to go to the program, but I don't want to be in the group. But I also don't want to be with the parents because I want to be present in case there's an emergency and my student texts me or what. We get it. And we know that this is for potentially the parents as well. Again, pretty uncomfortable, maybe kind of a high risk social kind of situation, right? That you're going into. And so we will work individually with families to figure out what is the best solution for your student. Right. I also want to say that as a parent of a student who is on a 504 plan in high school, we've already had our meeting with our access coach from student accommodations and testing in terms of accommodations that my student is going to need throughout his experience on our campus. If your student needs an accommodation for orientation, they should have, and they might not have because they don't know because this process is different. They should have indicated that on their RSVP. When they placed their reservation, there was a special accommodations comments section. That is for any accommodations that they might need, dietary restrictions, things like that, or that you may need as well. There's a place for them to enter that as well. And so if you or your student needs some kind of accommodations, we do need to know in advance, because here is a kicker. When your student, as from experience, right, our plan followed the student automatically because it was in the school district and they just found it and magically through their system, as our ITS people say, auto-magically, it just followed them, right? And their teachers knew and their counselors knew and all of that. We don't have access to any of that information right now, right? So if your student is needing accommodations, and this is a whole nother topic for a whole nother night and a whole nother month of the summer, and you need to tune into that one if you need it. But why I'm bringing this up now is so that we can make sure that we're giving you the accommodations that you need, starting with orientation. We have a number of things that are in place. If a student shows up and let's just say they roll their ankle because they were playing flag football with their friends, then yes, we have a way of getting them around. And that didn't happen when they RSVP'd, but it happened yesterday, and they're going to be in a cast that, when they get to orientation. Cool. That's great. There are some things like that we can make accommodations for. But if you need something, you need to let us know, because the university isn't going to know that unless your student tells us that. It's very important that you all know that piece for this group of students. So I don't know if this is really your area, Alicia. I don't know if you would add anything to that before we kind of get into the orientation agenda.
Yeah. We do have a session later this summer specifically on student accommodations. And one thing that I will say is that this is often something that students want to opt out of because they don't think that they need it, or they don't want others to know that they need an accommodation. And so one thing that I always share with our families is that regardless of what your student is feeling or thinking, go ahead and schedule the appointment, because once a student has that on file with our Office of Student Accommodations and Testing, they can utilize that at any time. They don't have to use it, but say later they're saying, yep, I need it. We can't go back and do it if there's nothing on file. However, if something's on file and we need it, we can use that moving forward. And so we want to make sure that we have that information on file, and also just as a safety net for our students. Families can go ahead and register online. I went ahead and dropped the website in the chat box, where families can go online and do the intake form, and that will connect your students with the access coach for an intake appointment. And they're just going to talk about what type of accommodation did you previously get in high school? What do you think you will need? And often students, when this question's posed, they have no idea what they need. Some of them have no idea that they even had accommodations, which is great. That means our schools have really done a phenomenal job of integrating them into the classroom and getting that support provided to them. But if we don't have that information, we are not able to continue that here. And so just making sure that we have that information, and also will allow us to have an open conversation with them and give some just recommendations if these are things that some students have historically used. One of the things is a smart pen for some of our students that may have ADHD and they're not able to really focus and keep that attention. It records the class session for them, and then they're able to go back and listen to some of those. And so it's really, really great to have that. And so again, that's a separate session coming up. But through orientation, you will hear from accounts receivable, our registrar, and they will talk about what your rights are as a parent and how do you get access. And a lot of times this is, I would say, probably next to separating students first in orientation. It's, what do you mean I don't have access to my students' grades and anything else? I'm paying the bill. Yes, you may be paying the bill, but at this point, your student has to give permission. And so we'll talk in depth at orientation about what that looks like, where students can find where you can find the forms at, and how we can make sure that we're collaborating to ensure you get the information that you would like as a parent. Other things, Kim?
Yeah, I just pulled up the agenda that you guys will get here. And so in the morning, we're going to talk again. We're going to go a little bit more in depth. Alicia has a great presentation. She's really your go-to person for Shocker families and programs and making sure that you are staying connected. Does a lot of communication with families and with parents. And so now I've gotten those communication pieces as a parent. So I see it all. I'm right there with you, like I said. But in the morning, we'll dive deeper into the change that you can expect. You may not be ready for that. You may think this change is all on your student and nothing really much is going to change for you. But you're going to go through some transition as well, whether this is your first or last or first and last or wherever you are in sending your students to college. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, your adjustment. We will also talk about campus safety. That is big. We know that that is something that's on the hearts and minds of parents and students. So students and parents will both hear from our University Police Department. We'll also hear from other offices about what does it mean to be a member of the Shocker Nation in terms of being responsible. Students have rights. Students also have responsibilities, and there are expectations and assumptions that we're going to make that they already know. They've been K through 12. Now they're in college. There is a big gap between K-12 education experience and a college experience. And I get on a soapbox every program for a few minutes, and I'm going to try not to be on that soapbox tonight. But it doesn't matter if your student is on a full scholarship or no scholarship, has a 4.0 coming in, doesn't have a 4.0 coming in. It doesn't matter. Everybody is on a level playing field. So if you are a parent of a student like I am, who had AP courses, has some college credits, is coming in and thinks that they're coming in as a sophomore or a junior, let me tell you, they're coming in as a freshman. They are experience-wise, socially prepared at a freshman or lower level. Trust me, I see 1,000, 1,500 kids every fall. So does Alicia. Socially, behaviorally, cognitively, they're coming in as an 18-year-old. That is an adult, but they are 18. And so, yes, they may have enough credit hours earned from high school to be a junior, but experience-wise, they are a freshman. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the difference there. As you can imagine, since the world reopened since 2020, right? That gap was here. Now that gap is here. And so there's a lot of preparation and a lot of these kinds of things that we need students to begin to realize are going to be different. We need you to realize are going to be different. And we'll talk a lot about expectations that you may have and the reality of their experience, and failure's okay, somewhat to be expected at this point. And so it's just been an interesting shift. So we'll talk again all through that, right? So they have responsibilities, they have rights, there is a difference. And so we'll help you navigate that. All right. Then, sorry, that I'll get off the soapbox now. Did you want to say something, Alicia? Oh, no. Okay. We will also talk about student health. So many of you may be coming from out of state and you're wondering about, okay, what if my kid gets sick? What if they're on medications and they need refills? We'll talk about that. What about student insurance? We'll go through that at orientation. You'll also learn about success teams that are led out of my office, out of student success, and the success coaches, this collaborative team of support that your student is automatically assigned, and how they can get those resources and how they can connect with what they may need at any given point in time. So we'll talk about how they utilize those resources. That's both academic and outside of academics. Then, as Alicia said, you rejoin your student at lunch. So we do give you that time to check in. Sometimes parents are like, you go meet your friends. I made new friends. I'm going to go eat with my friends and you eat with your friends. And then other parents are like, oh my gosh, tell me everything you learned. How's it going? And others are like, oh my God, I missed you so much. And runs the gamut of, hey, I'm here and I want to reconnect with you and I want to debrief with you, versus, hey, do your own thing. You are on your own. You're in college. So we see everything for lunch. In the afternoon is when we begin those sessions on FERPA and what that means, how you access student records, and really how FERPA, and I'll give you a little teaser, FERPA is now in place for all of your students who are enrolled. So that means you no longer have access to their records. It doesn't matter if they're 17 and they're not 18 yet. That law protects them the minute they enroll in college. Okay, so that's a difference, and we'll talk about that. And again, how you can get access and the best way to get access, which, spoiler alert, is to talk to your kid and to keep the communication going. Then we talk about paying your bills and finances, scholarships, financial aid. We can walk you through that process too. Here's something to know, right? If you haven't accepted scholarships, there's steps to do that. So you need to make sure that those things are getting done. And then really in the other sessions in the afternoon, you really get to pick what you want to learn about, because we know that not every topic applies to every student and every family situation. So we do give you an option to kind of pick and choose what you want to do: academic support services, Shocker Career Accelerators. So you want to know more about applied learning, co-ops, internships. Then student involvement. So how do we connect to student organizations and the more social kinds of social educational things happening, and student accommodations and testing. So there is an opportunity for those of you who are parents of students who may need accommodations to ask the questions. Even if you think you might qualify for that, go to the session to find out. Honestly, you'd be surprised. Like, you have asthma? Great. You may need an accommodation because you may have an asthma attack, and maybe we need to look at shortening the distance between your classes, and your academic advisor should know that, and simple things like that. So we'll have an opportunity for OSAT, or student accommodations and testing, and then you get to end with Alicia and I again. So we will be your bookends at orientation. We will begin with you in the morning and we will end with you in the afternoons, just wrapping up, kind of processing all of the information, because you will become overwhelmed. You will not be alone. Everyone is overwhelmed. If you're overwhelmed now, you are not alone, right? I do this for a living, and I'm even thinking on the daily, I'm like, oh, I need to have my kid do this, or oh, I need to have him do that, or oh, we haven't done this yet. So we're all there in the same boat. And then there are some optional sessions, like I said, campus tour, housing tour, some meet and greets, and information fairs and things like that to end, that are all optional for students and families. So Alicia, I'll let you take it from here. Are there things I missed or that you wanted to highlight?
Yeah, the one thing that I'll share is that throughout the day, we will have a parent lounge set up on the second floor. And this is a spot where families can stop and get a snack, grab some coffee. I will be there majority of the day, or a designated staff member. Kim and I try to hang out there in between sessions, because it's a great space for us to answer some more specific questions that families may have that they may not feel quite comfortable asking in front of a large group. And so we will be there for some of those more intimate conversations, also to just help direct folks if they get lost or disconnected from their groups. And so that is another opportunity to connect with others, as well as us and other members of the university team, just to build those relationships and find your people on campus, because I think that's one of the things that we often hear most from orientation is that, you know, when they come, it's knowing that there's a person on campus that's going to be looking out for my kid, or I've met someone on campus that I feel I can reach out to should I need support with my kid. And I think being on campus during orientation and you as a parent cultivating those relationships with our staff, they love it just as much as we do. And so I really encourage you to reach out and connect with them. Some of the questions that we have, and again, I'll just go ahead and open it up to folks to pop in questions if they have them. Combined experience, Kim and I here, we're pushing, 40 plus years together. And so if we don't have an answer, we will find one for you. And so Latricia asked, do we assist with finding additional funding for students? And so I will say yes, and there is a opportunity for students to apply for additional aid via Scholarship Universe. And so my biggest a piece of advice that I would give folks is to have your students log into their MyWSU portal and click around. Have them click around, have them click into my finances and see what all is available in my finances, what all is available in my classes or my home tab. I promise you, they cannot mess anything up. If so, Kim and I probably would have messed it up already and we would have had someone fix it. And so the more they can get familiar with their MyWSU account, the more at ease they're going to feel when it comes time for them to get in there and start uploading documentation or just getting access to information. And so your student can actually go ahead now and apply for additional funding. They can always schedule an appointment directly with one of our financial aid coaches, and they can make sure that they have maximized all awards that are available to them, and even help guide them through the Scholarship Universe process. I did that with my own daughter. It is extremely overwhelming because you don't know what you should apply for or to if you qualify. And talking with a financial aid advisor is definitely helpful because they'll help you kind of tailor some of that. And if there's due dates that have passed already, I will say to kind of keep a running list because those are standing scholarships that will occur every year. So then you'll have a better chance of going back and knowing when you should start applying. I always tell our students for our new incoming class, they step foot on campus in August, September, October, their feet are barely wet. And we are already encouraging them to apply for scholarships for that next academic year in October. And so these are things that we will continuously tell your students. The other thing that I'll share in relation to this is Kim had talked about, everything moving forward is going directly to your students. I sent out an email earlier this week to all parent families that we had on the system, encouraging them to attend this, as well as just what to expect for orientation. And so know that if you have questions specifically about the orientation date, the number one thing is I did not get any information about where to park. That has been sent to your student. It's in their inbox. And so make sure that you ask them, hey, let's look at your inbox and see if you've gotten any emails from the university. I guarantee you they're going to at least have 10 to 20 by now, probably, from financial aid, from advising classes. And so making sure that they get in the habit of checking that frequently.
Yeah, I just something to keep in mind. If you aren't, so our orientation programs start Friday. Great. Some of your students might have gotten the reminder with the parking information. If you don't come until later, your student's not going to get that until a day or so, maybe 2, maybe 3 days, anywhere from 2 to 5 days, whatever, ahead of the their program date. So if you don't come until later and you haven't gotten let me rephrase. If they aren't coming until later and they haven't gotten their reminder with the parking information, it will come. Trust us, we send things with maps and links, and we send it all. We tell them what parking lots. We will have an electronic sign from parking that will say orientation parking here. It is free. You don't have to worry about it. I will say, if you choose, and it is a choice, if you choose to park in the parking garage, it is a pay by the hour situation, and we will not refund you for that because we provide a free parking option. So that's that. I see a lot of questions coming in about some orientation questions. If my student registered for one but brings two parents, great. We don't need to do anything. If you want to call our office, you can do that, and we can add another person. That's helpful. But if you're coming Friday, we've already prepared for Friday pretty much, so you don't have to worry about it. If you're coming later in the summer and you want to add someone, that is helpful because we do have to close programs due to room capacities. So if you're bringing more people than you originally signed up for, that is helpful to know. You can call our office. I don't know if we can throw this up on the screen. If you have any orientation questions, you can call our office at 316-978-5420 is that number. So you can let us know if you're going to add anybody. If not, you're not bringing as many people, that's cool. You don't have to do anything about it. I also saw, do we need to schedule a time for housing on orientation day? Now that rooms are picked, we want to get a better idea of what is needed, what will fit. Common question. I'm going to, as they say, put a pin in this, and we'll talk about housing a little bit later. So we'll come back to that question. But no, you don't have to sign up for anything or do anything specific for housing on the orientation day. Come back to the fees as well, because fees are not posted till July. Orientation is in June. That is fine. We're just it's kind of a hurry up and wait situation. So if you're looking at finances, you can, usually you can, bet on an increase of some sort. That's just the reality that we're in. I don't exactly know what that is yet. And the Kansas Board of Regents those are the folks who are making those approvals. And we don't control that. And we say this every year, many, many times. If we could make that earlier, we would make that earlier. But that is not something that the university controls. So we cannot let you know exactly what you owe until those bills are posted and those tuition increases or decreases or whatever, well, they're not going to decrease, let's be honest, are voted on and approved by the Kansas Board of Regents. Let's see here. Well, they have an opportunity to change their WSU ID or email. So great question. And the answer is no. I'm sorry, but it's no. So there is a username and there is an email, right? So their username is going to be their generated WSU ID at wichita.edu. That is what they're going to use to log into systems, to log into their portal, things like that they're going to be using on campus. Their email address is going to be their first initial, their middle initial, and if they fail to put in a middle initial or middle name, the system defaults to X. So if your student has an X in their email address, it's because they didn't put a middle name or initial on their application for admission. And then it will be their last name at shockers.wichita.edu. So we can talk about that and clarify that at orientation as well. No, you can't change that. And that is because we send confidential information through those systems to those specific addresses because we know that that is protected as much as cyber world can be protected. That is protected and confidential information. And so you can't forward it to a Gmail. You can't it's kind of locked down into that because we are able to send individual information to that student about that student, again, to that student, right? So we can't do that. I will say if your student has a preferred name, there is a way. So if they go by their middle name, say, and they want to, there's a lot of actually staff that go by middle names or whatever instead of their first names. You can work with the registrar's office to have that updated on some of your students' information so that that's what they go by. So I'm going to go by Diane because that's my middle name. So, okay, cool. I'm going to go by Diane then. And so you can do that. It's through the registrar's office, but that does not necessarily change, will not change their username, which is their WSUID at wichita.edu or their email address. So I hope you followed all of that. I hope that makes sense. We can clarify offline if we want to do that, if that helps. Can we schedule financial aid anytime and virtually? Yes, you can. Sorry, Alicia, did you want to answer some of these?
No, yeah, I put the link in there for them to schedule. But one thing I'll say about the ID number is that it's really students use it to swipe into everything on campus to gain access with their Shocker card. And it really, the ID number is the version of a social security number. And so we no longer use social security numbers as the student identifier as they did once upon a time when I was a student many years ago starting out. I was, number 7735 and it's like, okay, yes, that's me. No, that's not the case anymore. And so they will have that. And it's, it's really not a big deal for most students. They can go ahead and access again their email that's available to them now if they're already registered, and they could go in and see what their email is and just get familiar with that because that is what we will use moving forward. And it's great. Financial aid, they will have spots open the day of orientation for families to go over to do drop-ins. They expect that. And so you can wait if you are wanting to come and just do that and take care of everything that same day. Come and we will have students who can walk you over to financial aid to get an appointment. Or you can, I dropped a link in the chat box if anyone wants to schedule a virtual appointment. Just know that your student will have to be on the call with you, or you will need to have a proxy form submitted by your student that will give you permission to discuss their financial aid and billing information with you. And so, again, that's something that we'll talk a little bit more in depth about. But the one thing I also wanted to share is that throughout the summer, we will be sharing a lot of information with our families on our social media page. And we have two of them. One of them is our Parent Family Network. And this is one where it is open to parents to connect with each other. And this is a really great space. There are some questions in here about what should we bring, what should we not bring to the resident halls. If you were to drop that question in the Shocker Family Network page, they what to bring, what not to bring, how to hang things, how not to hang things. Do I need to bring a U-Haul? They are great at answering all the questions. And so feel free to join that. And then we also have the Parent Family page that you can join. And that's where we put out information directly from the institution to our families, just to make sure we're sharing important content in a timely manner. And so either of those spaces are great opportunities to continue conversations as well as to gain important information.
I would also add, Alicia and I will bring the real stories to you, right? So what I mean by that is that, yes, this is an exciting time. There are some students that make some bad decisions. There are some things that they may go through that are, it's not all rainbows and unicorns and, sparklies and glitter and, cars that work, right? Sometimes they're going to run into some things or maybe do some things that aren't exactly the best decisions in the world, but they're doing it in a place that's going to be supportive of them, right? They're going to be held accountable, yes, by the institution and probably you. But also they're still in this kind of gray space where we can kind of put a little net under them a little bit, right? But we're going to share during orientation, we'll share some very real stories, some very real situations. We can tell you, we can help you predict, if you hear certain things, should you believe your student or not? We can help you with some of that, navigating some of those kinds of things, because they like to tell lots of crazy stories about things that, mom, it just happened. And so we can help you kind of understand that. And I say that because we get a lot of comments at orientation afterwards, kind of at the end, that say, thank you for not sugarcoating this and telling it how it is, because that's what we want to know. This is an investment in our student. This is an investment in our family. And, if we were here to tell you your student's going to be fine, everything is going to be great, moving's going to be flawless, it probably will be, because that's one thing we do very well. They're going to pass calculus with flying colors. It's going to be great. We would be lying to you, right? Because that's not every student's experience. And so we're going to be very real with you so that you understand what to expect. Because if we can prepare you to better help your student, then we're going to be able to work together and partner well together, for your student to make it all the way through and complete their degree. So we tell the good, the bad, and the ugly. Of course, we're going to tell you that, of course, we had great experiences. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. But I would put many of our services and our level of service to students against anybody in the state, anybody regionally, and many times nationally, because some of the work that we are doing, and I know it's tooting our own horns, but I'm going to do it anyway. Many of the things we're presenting professionally at conferences, and there are institutions coming to us going, that is amazing work that you're doing. I was told that today by some of the outreach folks that we work with through one of our platforms. I know Alicia's team does a lot of work in supporting students and is really kind of on the leading edge there of how they're helping support students, when life and things get in the way. And what we're doing for students, we'd put ups against any institution probably in the country on most fronts, I would say. But, yes, I'm biased. But yes, I'm also doing the work, to make sure that our students are getting the support that they need. So does every student transition beautifully? No. Do they have the capacity to do so? Yes. Do they have the ability to maximize their own, potential to be successful? Yes. But I always say, I cannot want it more than your student. I can't make your student be successful if they don't want their own success. And as we're talking with a lot of our, some other professional organizations and things across the country, students, it's like, it's all about the vibe. It's all about the vibe that I feel. Well, guess what? Professors don't teach a vibe. Professors teach content, and your students earn the grades, right? So yeah, they can vibe all they want outside of class, and with their friends and socially, and some they will go into a classroom and they're like, the vibe is great. But as many times as I hear, it's about the vibe. I'm not vibing. I mean, I'm sure you've all heard it. They have this language of their own, and they've got to apply themselves. And I think that's the number one thing that we see, is that we cannot want it more than your student wants it for themselves. And often, Alicia and I get right up to that line of, I can only hold your hand for 5 times. The 6th time I'm letting go, and you're going to figure it out, or you're not. And so I would just say, sorry, getting on a soapbox again, but we will tell you good, bad, ugly, everything under the sun. We'll give you the real story. Again, we're living it right there along with you. So I'll stop. And I think, do you want to go back and just touch on, we've got a few minutes left. Do you want to touch on some housing things? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I actually just dropped a link in the chat box. And this is actually the best place for you to get all questions answered regarding housing. This is for our Fall 25 move-in weekend, which starts Saturday, August 9th. Eek, it's coming up. I just got the chills saying that. I'm not ready, y'all. I am really not ready. And so but there is a really great packing list that Kim's laughing at me. There's a great packing list online for students and families to look at. And what I will say about the packing list is really stick to the packing list. Because if what we find is that students often bring way more than what they need, and then come winter break, they're taking a lot of stuff home, and so making sure that they have the essentials, the things that they need, and that's and then also like what's allowed in the room, what's not allowed. We have a lot of students who bring things that are not allowed, and that's where student conduct will get involved because they have violated a university policy in housing. And so we want to make sure that we're looking at that last page of things that are not permitted, because they will get in trouble if they're found in their room. And so make sure you take a peek at that list. On there is also, when we talk about move-in, it is, this is really my favorite time of year, orientation, move-in, when we get to welcome families in to campus. And move-in is it's an easy, well-oiled machine process. And so we have a session dedicated specifically for move-in closer to the date. And this is where we will talk very specifically on what to expect, how to get signed up, where you need to go, how quick it's going to be, what you should bring, what you shouldn't bring. We will have our folks from housing on with us for that session as well, so you can hear directly from the experts any questions you may have specifically about housing. And so make sure you look out for that. But please take time to check out housing website for that move-in weekend link that has all of the information you'll need to know for move-in, especially that packing list, because it will become really helpful as you prepare to go out and buy things. You'll need to know what size of sheets and what are the curtain dimensions, or blinds. Do I need to bring anything? That's all in there that you can look at. Another question that came up was, WSU is a gym. Thank you. Yes, Melissa, I agree 100%. But Brett Allen has written, his students signed up for orientation the day before school starts. Is it possible to change the date, or do you feel the date will be just fine? It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. It is very possible to change the date. If you have the ability, and this is not every family has this ability, or the flexibility to be able to do this. If you can move it back one date, I think it's the 4th, that I might encourage you to do that. It's just very hectic, that last program. It is 1000% fine if you are coming to the last program, because maybe you can only make one trip to campus. You do your move-in, you do your orientation, and you're good to go. That last program is on a Thursday. We have Shock Fest, which is our weekend of welcome. We have a lot of things happening that Friday, starting at noon with the kickoff lunch, and then going through Friday, and then all day Saturday, all day Sunday. There'll be some different things that they can participate in, and then classes start on that Monday. So if your student can handle that much coming at them at once, awesome. If you think you may want to spread that out a little bit, give them a few days, get acclimated to move in, actually, let me back up, because you're probably going to move in before you go to orientation, which that is a smart move. You don't always have to move in the very first day if you want to avoid crowds. Pro tip, don't come the first move-in day, because you don't have to, right? There may be reasons why you want to. That's separate. You do what you need to do. But you'll probably want to move in a few days early, or a couple of days, I would say, earlier than the last orientation program. That way you can get acclimated to the residence hall stuff. You can do your trips to Walmart, to Target, to wherever you're going, to Costco. Well, I don't think anybody's going to have enough storage to do anything in Costco, but you can get all that out of the way. And then you all can either stay for that orientation as parents helping your students move in, or you can leave, up to you. We will occupy them for most of that time, especially if they're coming to orientation. They will be busy that entire day. They would have that evening and the following morning, that Friday, free. And then they can just jump into a bunch of Shock Fest events. We also have preseason events happening the week before classes start. So there's all kinds of things going on. So it's really a personal preference. Is it okay to come to the last one? Yes. Would we recommend coming earlier? Perhaps. It really depends on how well your student can kind of cope with a lot coming at them, a lot of new faces, a lot of new, expectations to meet people and get connected at those kinds of things. So make the best decision that's best for you. The great thing about your orientation date is it is not linked to enrollment. So you guys a lot of your students are probably already enrolled, which is great. If they're not, we can answer those questions in these programs as well, or at your orientation program as well. So I do see one last question. I don't know, Alicia, I know we're right at time too. So are there still scholarship opportunities for incoming freshmen? So what you need to do is have your student log in or get connected with Scholarship Universe. Go to the financial aid website. Scholarship Universe is going to be where they need to upload their information. I would say some of the merit kinds of things, those deadlines have kind of passed already. So a lot of the opportunities have kind of been complete. They're past due. But it is possible. The only way you're going to know is if your student is uploading their information into Scholarship Universe, because that will make their information available for anybody who is still. Some of our colleges and some of our departments give away those independent scholarships separate from financial aid. So they're still in their review process. So I would say the real answer is there's a lot fewer opportunities at this point. So make sure that you're connecting with Scholarship Universe. Okay. All right, I'll pop it over to you, Alicia, to wrap us up.
All right, so to wrap us up, we like to give things away. Yay! And so tonight we have 3 winners, and you will be getting a Shocker Family little mug, drink, tumbler in the mail from us for signing up and joining us. And so tonight's winner is Jocelyn Hernandez, Jessica Bucher, and Laura Irwin. And so please look out for an email from me with requesting information so we can get this sent out in the mail. Throughout the summer, we will have various other giveaways at orientation. We have this adorable Shocker Family basket that you can win by just joining us and participating. And so we look forward to connecting with you throughout this summer. At any time, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to drop us an email or give us a call, and know that we are on standby to support you every step of the way. Welcome to the Shocker family. And we look forward to seeing you on campus soon. Have a great evening.
Welcome.
Bye-bye.
Welcome. Goodbye, everybody.